Hey guys, so today I'm going to finally talk about relationships. I don't have a lot of advice because even though I've been in a relationship for 7 years, Jay and I both are not entirely sure of exactly how we've done it. We just sort of really like each other and have continued to really like each other, which is really unhelpful. But there are some things that I think I might be able to impart as words of wisdom. Having said that, I am by no means an expert. I don't know what adult dating is like. I met Jay when I was 15 and we started dating 2 weeks after that. So I'm not great with adult dating scenes, but I am an adult now and in a relationship, so I feel like I know adult relationships well enough. But anyway, these are the things that I think are important, or at least helpful to keep in mind when you are in a relationship or looking for a relationship that will last a long time. So the first thing is you gotta ditch the list of things that you think your partner must be. It's okay to have an idea of someone that you think you might like in your life, but don't feel like you can only search for the person that you've decided you might like in your life. There are people out there who you would not consider, you wouldn't consider if you've had this list of things, and you wouldn't consider them because they don't tick off the right things or whatever, but then you're actually missing out on this great person who could be the relationship for you, could be it. If there's an it, they could be it. Having an idea of what you want is not a bad thing, but limiting yourself because of that is. So even if you've got this list of attributes that you feel like you want from your partner, remember that those list of attributes are for an imaginary person. Those list of attributes don't come with a real person. Those list of attributes are things in your brain that you've decided would make your perfect partner. So when you're making your perfect partner in your brain, of course they're going to be fucking perfect. Real people aren't like that. So it is something that you have to keep in mind, that this person you've imagined for yourself probably is not existent. You might find someone who's pretty fucking close, and good on you if you do, but they will have things about them that you didn't anticipate. Doesn't mean that you won't like them, but there will be things about them that you didn't anticipate. For example, emotions, because when you are imagining a person, their emotions are not real, and the real people will have real emotions. That's another thing. Probably don't try and imagine your life with your partner too much, because it's gonna be different. Whatever you imagine will happen. You imagine you'll find this perfect person and you'll get married after a year of dating and you'll have 2.3 kids and live happily ever after. It probably won't happen that way. Again, because real people are real and they have their own imaginary scenario, and it could be one of those things where you need to take into consideration the fact that their ideal plan for life is not the same as yours, but both of your plans for life involve each other. For example, I always imagined getting married. Jay does not want to get married. I have decided that I would rather have Jay in my life than worry about marriage, because marriage is not that big a deal. I thought it was, but it's not. I don't want to get married if it's not to Jay. And that's one of those things. Maybe there are things, like having kids, that would be hard. And if you want to have kids and your partner doesn't want to have kids, that might be something that you might not be able to live with. And that's okay. But if it is something that you can live with, and you can live with not having kids if it means having that person in your life, then that's okay too. It's okay to change your plan and have things go differently than how you imagined they'd go. Because it probably will. Like, it might not be as extreme as having kids. It might just be that maybe you always thought you'd stay home with the kids, and then your partner says that they want to stay home with the kids, and it makes more financial sense that they stay home with the kids, and so they stay home with the kids and you work, and it's not that bad. You know, we spend so much time thinking about how our future will be, and we forget that the people that we think of in our future aren't real. Like, the people that you imagine in your future aren't real people. Even if you are imagining someone that you know right now, the person that you've imagined isn't real. That's not how they're guaranteed to act. No matter how well you know them, that isn't a real representation of what they will do in any given situation. So you've got to know that this person you've imagined for yourself, and this life and the relationship that you think that you'll have, might not work out that way. It probably won't work out that way. There will be at least minor differences. So you've got to remember that and keep that in mind. That when you're looking for a person, you don't look for this imaginary person, and when you do have a person, you don't aim for this imaginary life. Like, just sort of, I guess, go with the flow a little bit, you know? Like, if you meet a person and you think they're really cool, and they're not at all the person that you imagined yourself ending up with, just go with it. Like, Jay is not the person that I would have thought I'd end up with. He is much more muscular and much more masculine. I always imagined myself ending up with a fairly feminine person, and I did not. I ended up with Jay, who works in construction, works on cars, likes racing. He was training to become a mechanic when we met. He knows things about the gym. He's got muscles and stuff, and that is just not... I thought I'd end up with, like, you know, someone who preferred to sit inside and maybe just read a book with me. So, you know, it's okay. The people that you meet in life are real people, and they are a lot better than what you could imagine in most cases. I couldn't have imagined Jay, then I found him, and shit worked out really well. Well, this is getting long already, and I've only really made like 1.5 points. Okay, well, the other thing I was going to say is, like, it's okay to be grumpy at each other and then just not be anymore. Like, it's okay to have a fight and then 20 minutes later, without having spoken about what the fight was about, without having explicitly said sorry to each other, it's okay to have a fight and 20 minutes later just be like, okay, and continue on doing your thing, and neither of you are grumpy anymore, and you're playing and you're making dinner or whatever it is you do. Like, that's okay. You don't have to apologise for every fight. If you both know that it's done and that it didn't matter, and the outcome is like if big fights, probably you need to talk about. But if it's things like, you know, you're fighting again about how you're leaving the towels on the floor or something, like, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm sorry that we had such a big fight about the towels on the floor or anything. And you just, you know, like, you fight about it and then you go, oh, well, it's done. It's done. And you continue on with your life. You know, you don't have to... And communication is important, but I feel like people put so much emphasis on verbal communication and they forget that in a relationship there is so much more. Like, in life, there's much more than verbal communication. You can communicate just via your body language, and the person will know that you were sorry and that you have started an argument over something silly, and you will know that they are sorry for continuing an argument over something silly. Like, you don't have to explicitly say everything all the time. You just don't. And by the same thing, it's okay to go to bed angry. People will tell you not to, but it's totally cool to go to bed angry and then wake up in the morning and not be angry anymore. That is not a bad thing. I have gone to bed really angry, and then I've woken up in the morning and I've not given a shit. anymore. And I'm like, oh well. A lot of the time I'll wake up in the morning and I'll forget that I was mad when I went to bed. And I will only remember after Jay's left for work, and I'll go, oh, I was meant to be mad at him. Oh well, clearly I'm not anymore. Like, it's okay. You don't have to... it's okay. I'm not sure if what I'm trying to say is coming across, but it's okay to be mad and then just to not be. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. What else? What else do we do? Jay and I don't really have things about each other that we just put up with. Like, I am much more outgoing and possibly a little bit crazier than Jay is, in general, especially in public. If it's just us two in our house, like, Jay's happy to go nuts, but in public he's a little bit more withdrawn and concerned for the feelings of the people around us, whereas I am a lot less so. And there will be lots of times when I'll be dancing along or singing along or being just a bit of a dick, and Jay will be like, Louie, you need to stop now. And I don't, because it's fun to piss him off. But eventually, you know, he's just like used to the fact that I don't stop anymore. He will be like, Louie, stop. And it's sort of one of those things where I'm not gonna, and he just lives with it. And it's not something he just puts up with, and it's something about me. The thing with Jay and I is that we love each other and all of each other. And you don't have to love everything about the person that you're with for a long time. I think we're just really lucky in that sense. But at the same time, don't just put up with things. Don't ever just be like, oh, I have to put up with this. You know? Try and see the good side of it. Try and not be bothered by it as much if it's something silly, like leaving towels on the floor. Can you tell Jay leaves towels on the floor? Like, try not to be bothered about it too much. Just be like, that's a thing he does. It bothers me. I can't change it. I'm not going to just put up with it. It's just a thing. You know, like, it just, that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It'll make sense if you've had to do this, or when it comes to the time that you do this and there's something that bothers you, but it's not a big deal. You find that you don't just put up with it. It just is a thing. You know, it becomes a nothing. It's one of those things where every time it happens, you're not like, oh, it's just there it is. Like how the rain comes out of the sky. It just does. You know, it turns out to be one of those things. The sun will come up in the morning because it just does. I mean, I know it's not because it just does, but you get what I mean. Like, it's just a thing and it's going to happen. Oh well. Oh well. I don't know how to better explain it. But those of you who've done this will know, and those who don't will eventually find out that you have. I'm sure that everyone has had things like this with family members and stuff, not just people that you want to be with forever. Yeah, so, okay, this has gotten very long. Pip! Pip was just digging, and she's not allowed to dig. Don't dig! Alright, well that's going to be awkward now since I don't edit videos because I hate doing that. There you go. Yeah, so that's basically, I guess, what my advice is. I don't know, is there anything like that you have questions about that maybe I can help with? Specific questions are a lot easier to answer than how do you do it, because I don't know how I do it. I mean, like, I was 15 when I met Jay. He was 17 and almost 18. Ooh. And it's one of those things, like, we've grown with each other, and we've worked really hard, actually, at times. Relationships can be a lot of work. There was a time when we were doing long distance. He lived up here in Darwin, and I was still in Victoria finishing my VCE to year 11 and 12. And that was hard. And it wasn't even for that long, but it was hard. But we found our way to make it work. Even though for a little while there we thought maybe it wouldn't. But we made it work because we wanted it to work. Maybe that's another thing. You need to really want to be in a relationship and really want to be with this person. Like, I feel like you need to want to be there even when they're being a shit. I don't know. Not like being abusive or anything, but like when things are hard, you've got to really work at it, and things will be hard, probably more than once, because this is like a lifetime we're talking about here. There's a lot of things that can happen and a lot of things that can make people feel different ways, and it's you've got to really work at relationships. They're not easy. I mean, I don't know how Jay and I do it, but that doesn't mean it's easy all the time. It's easy a lot of the time. But there are definitely, it's easy a lot of the time, but then there are the times when it's not easy, it's really hard. I guess. I don't know how to explain this. Ask me questions, I will answer. I'm not very eloquent in general, especially today. So yes, this is now a 16 and a half minute long video. So I'm going to stop, and I will talk to you tomorrow and give you updates on the weight loss and shit like that. Yeah, so, okay, bye!